Hello, everybody. Welcome into Talking Town. I'm shaking. Ben is joining me. Ben Adams is joining me. A battling point for 10-man Blues, Ben. I mean, who would have thought it? I was half-time. I was just waiting for like the inevitable avalanche of goals to come from Aston Villa. Yeah, what a performance. Our performance of the season, easily, I think.
I got to completely agree with you. You think when Enciso goes off, because exciting player, of course he goes off, and Axel goes off, you're thinking, just get me out of this goddamn league. Just end it here. But we put in the performance of the season. I think that was a mature, concise, brave, ballsy performance, and the difference that a defence has when they're confident in the keeper. My God.
Well, let's you're totally right, Ben. Let's start with the number one, Alex Palmer. I mean, his Premier League debut, not his town debut, his Premier League debut.
Yeah,
I can't think of a better Premier League debut from anyone in a blue shirt ever. I mean, what's a fun for? I mean, look, we're fresh off the game, we're buzzing, we've got the adrenaline, but it was a phenomenal goalkeeping performance.
Yeah,
and the irony, Ben, of course, is that we've had such problems in that area of the pitch this season. Yeah, all our prayers were answered at once in that 90 minutes, I think.
Yeah, it could be our best signing of the whole season. I think the first 10 minutes a little bit shaky. Fair enough. Your first ever Premier League game, you're away at Villa, team under fire. But I watched him the whole game because I was fascinated that he wasn't Muric, and he was shouting at his defence. He was commanding. He was pointing. He was moving players. He was making himself big. He was doing simple things like catching the ball, calming down, calm distribution. It was brilliantly boring. And that's exactly what a great goalkeeper should be. Brilliantly boring. And and that save at the end, that better be on Match of the Day tonight, I tell you.
That was unbelievable. Now he sort of saves going across to the left with the outside of his arm, hooks it over his shoulder.
Yeah. Incredible. And yeah, I always think Crunch had a really great thing he said last season. A really great goalkeeper gets you between 10 and 12 points a season. He just gained us 2 points with that one move. Muric, in the situation, he's already passed the ball to their attack 6 times. We don't win that game. But watch the defence around him, how calm everyone else was around Palmer. He just settled it all. They were all calm. They could distribute. They trusted him when the corners are flying in every 30 seconds. It all just seemed a bit like this. That is having a good goalkeeper.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's stay with the defence, because the news that broke when the team was announced, of course, was that Leaf was missing. We think maybe with a hamstring injury, so Connor Townsend continued there. How did you think Connor played in Leaf's absence today? I mean, he defended as well as anybody, really. I mean, it was backs to the walls, wasn't it? Certainly that second half.
Yeah, he's a really good player, and I think because although I think Leaf is an atrocious defender, he's very good going forward. So in this league, you need that. So you're not going to see a lot of Townsend. So you actually forget how good he is. I thought he was solid. I thought he was dependable. He done nothing that stuck out as for me. And sometimes when a player is not, when you don't notice them, it can be a really positive thing. And I didn't notice him too much, which means he was kind of doing what he needed to do unspectacularly, which away to home at Villa is exactly what you need. You know, he was just good today. He was good.
Probably a blessing in disguise, actually, when you think how the game panned out. We're down to 10 men, aren't we? Seen out the half, and it's backs to the walls. You probably do need, as much as we love Leaf going forward, I do think he's limited in defence. I actually think Townsend's probably the better defender. It's probably what we actually needed. It's what we needed.
No question. I love Leaf, and going forward, he's brilliant. But he's the worst defender at the club by a country mile. So he's great going forward, but he can't do it. He's like a Lamborghini. He's great going forward, but he can't reverse and can't go sideways. But Townsend is just a bit more consistent in that way, and I think it worked well as a unit. But again, if you're Townsend, you're coming in after nothing. You're playing a game away from home. You need to trust your goalkeeper, you know, just to have that confidence to settle that position. And I think if Muric is in goal, he doesn't have as good a game even there. But I think that counts the whole way across the back line.
Yeah. Just going back to Palmer very quickly, what was it within about the first couple of minutes? He did do a Muric, didn't he, come rushing out? And I was like,
I thought, don't get sent off. At that point, I'm thinking, just relegate us, just get it over and done with. We'll walk the plank ourselves just to get it over and done with. But, you know, that aside, fair enough, he had his moment. Tirico used to do that. He used to have one terrible decision and the rest of the game he was brilliant. But after that little moment of madness, it was just a kind of a settle down
Yeah,
a
it
bit.
was.
It was a
quite-
9 out of 10 performance for me. I mean, it's just brilliant.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, it's as close to a 10 as you can get. I mean, maybe we should just give him a 10 anyway. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, fair play.
Morsey was missing today. I'm not sure if he was injured. Tell us in the comments if anything's come on the radio, online.
Thigh injury.
It was a thigh injury, was it?
Thigh injury, yeah.
How did you think Sir Calvin come in? Other than his kind of like obsession with giving free kicks away in the second half around the box.
It's interesting. A large section of the fan base have been calling for Cajuste and Phillips to play together. In fact, I think we were talking about it on the pod this week, actually, and I think rightly so. And I thought they were good. I mean, I think midfield is a real weak area for us anyway. But they done okay. They were okay. Phillips he's all right. He does nothing spectacular. He doesn't really do too much. He doesn't do too much wrong either. He is a Ford Fiesta. It will get you from A to B unspectacularly, and it probably won't crash in the process.
The most expensive Ford Fiesta ever at 45 million.
A low mileage one, yeah. But they were okay, and I mean, it's a bit unfair to judge them today because within 25 minutes the entire game plan went out the window, and then they have to shuffle the thing about. But I think considering the changes that were enforced upon them, I think they worked really well together. I really do. It was good. It was good.
Me and mine were kind of lamenting the first 45 minutes in that, you've got Axel's been sent off, Enciso's had to come off injured. And I've been saying that I think he could be like the key to staying up this season.
I agree. I agree with that.
Let's hope his town career ain't just one and done.
I watched him because the camera was on him, and when he was on the floor, he was in tears. He was crying. So it looks like it's something awful, and it would just be our luck that we get this player who he looks like a complete needle mover, to pull the Gov's terminology. But that even done today, I thought, wow, it's like you're running in fast forward and the rest of the team is kind of on normal speed. And of course, it looks like it's going to be something pretty awful by the looks of it. So
he walked off, didn't he? I mean, he did walk off rather than get carried off like Paul Wes. But let's see. Maybe it's a muscle injury. Let's see. I mean, of course, Enciso had that shot in the first half, which was a decent effort from distance. Yeah, that's what he gives you, isn't it? Rather than trying to sort of play and walk the ball in, Enciso will shoot from distance. He's got that level of confidence.
You're right. He's the chalk and cheese, I think, to someone like Amari, who tries to walk it in and just crashes into players the whole time. As soon as he gets a sight of goal, he's shooting. But that's good. I think it's good for the other players to see that as well. And it pushes that ball up the pitch and it gets us our shots on target. It just makes us look a bit more dangerous than we probably are. And that's all mindset stuff. If you see a sight and goal, shoot the damn ball there. How many times have we been saying it this season? Unfortunately, it looks like it was a very fleeting visit in Ipswich Town, for instance. I can't, by the looks of his face, I don't know if we're going to see him again for a while. If ever. Let's see. Let's see what happens. Fingers crossed.
What was your thoughts on the 2 yellows in that Axel got? I mean, the first one, I'll have to watch it back. That seemed a little bit light to me.
It was harsh.
The second one probably was a bit silly considering you're on a yellow. I mean, he's got his arm around his neck.
It was naive, Matt, and not a single Ipswich Town player even said a word of lamentation. Axel, he was like, all the other town players were, because they all knew it. And the first one was harsh. It should not have been a yellow card, but he got one. So what you don't do is put 2 arms around a man who's getting away from you, sort of 25 yards from goal, because he was always gone. It's a shame because Axel is such a cool, calm player, but it was naive. It was just a little bit naive for me.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. He's had a funny season, Axel, hasn't he? He's had that bizarre washing up incident, which ruled him out for most of the season. Comes back, gets a hamstring injury, I think. And now he's got the red cards, going to miss Spurs next week. It's interesting to see who comes in there.
It's such a weird thing of him, because what will happen is he'll come back from his card, he'll have a great game, then he'll be playing his PS5 and his thumb will break in half. It's just the weirdest collection of stuff ever with him. I can't quite pick him out at the moment. But shame. Shame.
See what happens next week. Maybe Godfrey will come in next week. But I thought deservedly we got to half time, Ben, with a clean sheet intact. I mean, Villa had chances, but I mean, you've got to take the chances that we give you, and they just weren't. Well, they were wasteful, weren't they? Most of them ended up in the stand.
Yeah, I agree, and I think I don't get me wrong. I think Villa had a bit of a bad day today. They are not the Villa I've been watching on Match of the Day or all the other games I watch. But you think of the games with one, and it's been a combination of the other team having a bad game and us having a brilliant game. It's never been the fact that they've been brilliant and we've been great as well. Look at Spurs. They were absolutely fucking appalling that day, but we had to be good to beat them. So that combination today, I think if Aston Villa would have gone up a notch, would have struggled, particularly as 10 men. But we didn't. We were resolute. We were calm. We were strong. We kept the shape well. I think Kieran actually made some really good substitutions today at the right time. I loved Hurst coming on. That was the right decision because we all know what Hurst does. He runs at the pitch and he pulls up that front line. It was just a day of good decision making all around from the very top to the very bottom, I think.
Yeah. Hurst did himself some favours last week, I think, at Coventry. He gets the penalty. He was instrumental in some of the goals. Because we've always been kind of lamenting, haven't we, the fact that Delap goes off and there's a bit of a drop-off, etc., etc. But then Hurst has a good performance under his belt in the cup. Comes on, you're not so bothered, are you? You're thinking, he could do something here after what you saw last.
We all know he's so good, Hurst, and if it wasn't for the fact he's made of biscuits, I think he'd be really fighting Delap for that coming into the team a bit more. The trouble is, Hurst will have another 2 or 3 really good games. He'll go down in a heap, and we won't see him till next December because that's just what happens. It's just a shame. I mean, do you feel there's been an upgrade from obviously with Al Hamadi dropping down and Hurst coming on? Do you feel that we've really maintained that strength going forward?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think there's always been a question mark around Hurst and what he could do in the Premier League anyway.
Sure.
I mean, there probably was around Delap, to be honest with you, but he's just come on leaps and bounds, hasn't he? And I suppose, like you say, with Hurst being kind of made of biscuits, you can draw that line all the way back to League One, can't you? With some of the injuries he's had. You're never quite sure, but he puts in a performance like he done against Coventry last week. And then he comes on today and you think, if we are to get a goal threat, even though it's back to the walls, you're quite comfortable him being there. And talking of goals, I mean, who could see us taking the lead? I mean, I was sort of texting people going, I'm just waiting for the inevitable avalanche. That will come
that first away game at Man City where Smodic scored that goal. That almost felt like we offended them. Like, sorry, don't take it personally. And then they just went and wiped the floor with us. I kind of thought the same today. They're thinking, oh my God, okay, we got to play football now, and they wiped the floor with us. But again, I think we stayed calm after we scored the goal, and that the goal itself was brilliant. He left 3 Aston Villa players on the floor with a little flick in his boot. I'll tell you what, every game he plays, he adds another 2 or 3 million to his value. I mean, that's what is it 9? Is it 9 goals now? 8 goals?
He's double figures now, I think. He's 10. Double figures now.
In a team that's, I think, pretty dead on to get relegated this season. That is something pretty special. Like that performance today, there's a lot of teams going to be looking at that goal thinking, bloody hell, he's good, this boy. He is good. And he is good. We know he is.
Goal out of nothing, wasn't it? The irony, of course, was me and Martin were contemplating whether Amari should be subbed at half time. We were trying to work out how we were going to be defensive in the second half. As it was, actually, Clark got subbed, didn't he, for Wolfenden?
And that was harsh on Clark. Don't get me wrong, but we had it's needs must point. But I think Amari, I'm really pleased for Amari because he is one that hasn't risen to the occasion of the Premier League. He's not moved forward at all, whereas I think a few other players have done. And what he usually does is just runs with the ball, crashes into someone, and that's it. But he actually done what he done a bit last season. He went on the outside and he actually crossed the ball in. And look what happens when he doesn't just run at 3 players in front of him. So it was a really good cross. It was low on the ground. It was dangerous. He held on to it for a while, and you put it into a dangerous area. Anything could happen, as we saw today. And I hope that's just not a little bit of good luck from Amari. I hope that's a bit of good decision making, a bit of maturation, him getting a bit smarter. Because Amari, of all the players in the club, for me, he needs to kick on the most. He's not developed, and he really needs to. And we're all desperate for him to.
I think what you're seeing is my take on it really is this is like Amari in the Championship in the first half of last season. When we were saying he looks raw. Is he going to be good enough to play for us, etc., etc. And I suppose he had to reset going into the Premier League a little bit. And of course, the jump is so huge that he's probably struggling to find his level as well. But I mean, he's had moments, hasn't he? I mean, no one was moaning about him when he scores the long ranger against Man United, scores the winner against Chelsea, does the somersault, and then he sticks in the cross today.
And And that's the frustrating thing, because we all know it's there. So to see all those funny decisions he makes is really frustrating. But you know, Kieran McKenna very, very rarely subs Amari off. So to be fair, you know, you do that for 70 minutes, you're going to be absolutely knackered. So you're probably not going to get too much of the last 20. But Kieran refuses to sub him, which fair enough, that's his prerogative. I am one. I mean, you know, today kind of thought, okay, made me think again. But before today, I just thought Amari needed a rest. He just needed to be taken out for a game or two and just given a breather. In the same way that, you know, that Delap was getting really tired before the break, carrying that whole team. I thought Amari could just do with a breather. But to be fair, he came on today. He made a good decision. He made a good cross, and he got us our goal. So, you know, fair play.
Yeah. Well, we held on to the lead for 13 minutes. And I mean, it was coming, wasn't it? I mean, we kept giving free kicks in and around the box, didn't we? I mean, Calvin unfortunately was culpable for that. I mean, a little bit of good fortune, I suppose. It was a decent free kick from Rashford, wasn't it? It's the bar straight into Watkins's. Couldn't just go into the stand, could it? No, has to come out into the 6-yard box. And Watkins was there.
Rashford looked more interested in football in that 45 minutes than I've seen him the whole season. So a great move.
Seasons, I mean.
Great move. And fine, but I agree. But you know, they're Ollie Watkins is you know, he's beyond anything we're ever going to, you know, see our team for 10 years. And part of that is positioning yourself and placing yourself in those dangerous areas. So the ricochets, we don't really position ourselves to those sorts of things in this league because we're just not that savvy. A ball lands in that area, there will be a player there, especially someone of his quality. And you think, well, yeah, good delivery, hits the bar. Keeper couldn't do anything about the rebound.
No.
Fair enough. It was a good goal, and there's not much you can do about it.
No, exactly. I mean, it's interesting. They were saying on the commentary that Tuchel will be picking his first England squad soon. You think Kane will be in that. You think Watkins will be in that. With Solanke out injured, I think Delap's going to have a good shout as being that third.
I agree. On a bench. How great would that be? I think the last player for us, Matt, who was in the England squad, was it Richard Wright? Was that the last?
Could well be, Could well be. That's a few years back. Yeah,
24 years that was. 24 years. Just to have a town player representing in England, we'd love to see that. And we'll kind of, well, we all don't. Danny Murphy does, but a lot of people see him as Harry Kane's successor. I mean, what do you think his ceiling is, Delap? I mean, you saw him. He muscles teams. He's young, old-fashioned number 9. He scores great goals. It's a great goal today. I mean, what do you think his ceiling is?
Yeah, I really don't know, to be honest with you. I mean, he was under the radar when we signed him because we signed him about the same time as we signed Greaves, didn't we? And I seem to remember all the hype was around Greaves being this defender that would come in and go on and play for England. Oh, and Liam Delap might play for England one day as well. And I was thinking, oh, really? Because I mean, I say this all the time when we have this conversation, but when we played them at Portman Road last season, I would say most Ipswich fans would struggle to remember Delap was on the pitch for whole that day. I think he was playing on the right side of a 3, and we won 3-0, 3-1, wherever it is. I can never ever remember that result for whatever reason. I think most people just would not have remembered him in that game. But I mean, he comes to town, signs, and McKenna's weaved his magic on him. I think it's fantastic. Whether or not he will go in the summer, we'll have to wait and see. I mean, if he's got the matching clause on his contract, he could end up going back to Manchester City. Would he play at Manchester City? Because you have to presume Haaland will still be there. I think there's lots of permutations on that one. But, I mean, it's looking fantastic for him at the moment. And I think McKenna, wherever Delap ends up, I think McKenna has been instrumental in his career because I think the trajectory is like that from Hull City to Portman Road. I
totally agree, and I think he what is McKenna's gift in this footballing world? He takes players and he just makes them better, whoever they are. I can't think of any player that's actually gone back, with the exception of Muric. I say, as bad as he's always been, he actually got measurably worse. So that, for me, that's the one screaming exception to the rule that if you come into this club under McKenna, you will leave a better player. And Delap's just an obvious example of that. It's a shame there's that bloody matching position because we might not make any money on him. We'll have to see what happens on that.
We'll have to wait and see. Did you think once Villa had equalised they would go on and get 2, 3, and we'd have to say it was a bad performance from town? Or were you confident?
No, I didn't see it because when we played Newcastle, Chelsea, Man City, Liverpool, you know it's coming. You just got to try and not bleed out as quick as you possibly can do before you die. But I didn't get that feeling today, and I'll go back to the point. It was because the back line looked solid. It looked confident because we had a good keeper who was commanding his area. He was directing players out in front of him. I'm thinking, and Muric could be sitting there like this, and defenders feed on that. I just didn't get I didn't get the sense. It's funny because Martin called it on the show. He goes, I think we might get something all right here. And lo and behold, we got a really good result. We didn't win, but I would say it was the best performance of the season.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. Confident going into the Spurs game next week? I mean, we don't know what kind of Spurs is going to rock up to put the road. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, they've got players back, haven't they? That they didn't have last time. But Spurs are Spurs. And I think the manager's on a hiding to nothing. The fans have turned. Son has indicated he wants to leave at the end of the season. They're a team in real disarray, but you just don't know what you're going to get. They could turn up and steamroller us, or we could beat them 3-0. Yeah. But you know what? That's great, because most games, you know, we've sat here enough this season. You think, we're going to lose this 2-0. Oh, if we can keep it under 4, that's a great result. I don't get that with Spurs. And I think with a really good result against Coventry, I think with a really good result against Aston Villa, and finally a team that is confident in their keeper, who knows what could happen? If you asked me to bet my mortgage on it, I would bet on us going down, because I just can't see us doing better than Wolves with the squad and the running they've got. But with a good keeper, it might be our Marcus Stewart signing of January. You never know.
You never know. That's a good way to end it, Ben. Thanks a lot for your time, everybody. We'll be back tomorrow, 1:00. Me and Martin, fingers crossed. So, yeah, Ben, go and pour yourself a drink, and let's thank Aston Villa. There's an Aston Villa fan in the chat here. I think he's got the ump. Just say thanks for the 4 points.
I bet,
only points we get from him? 2 points, wasn't it? Thanks for the 2 points this season. We appreciate it. Wolves in our sights. Enjoy your evening, everybody. Have a drink. Celebrate a great performance from the town. We'll see you tomorrow. All the best.
All the best, guys.
You make me smile when I think of you. If I am down or when I am blue, I can't get enough. You make me happy, I feel so fine. Oh, how I wish that you were mine. I can't get enough. I woke up all soaked in sweat, weird chills running down my neck. I thought went crazy from just the thought of you. A long blonde hair.